Hi readers, welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads. Lee here, and today I've got a book haul for you. This is not a normal book haul. This is, a couple weekends ago, I had the opportunity to attend an event out of town, and I got there a couple hours early so I could visit a local bookstore in that town. I do love to go to local bookstores in different towns, and maybe if I stop buying books every weekend at our Barnes & Noble, I could go out throughout the state and visit local bookstores over the course of the summer and find new reads. Anywho, all of these books, except for one, are books that I had considered purchasing previously online, but I decided not to. But when I found them out in the wild, I thought, well, this is a sign. I mean, I think everything's a sign when it comes to buying a book. The first book is not one I've heard of. This is not one of the ones that I'd considered buying before. This is Colton Gentry's Third Act by Jeff Zentner. Now, I'm going to read the blurb. I've already read it before I bought the book, but this is something probably that's new-ish to me. This seems like a romance from the male point of view, and I've not read many, if any, romances from them. I've read a few, very few. Those are usually queer fiction. I've not read any straight fiction romances from the man's point of view. So, let's see what this is about. Colton Gentry is riding high. His first hit in nearly a decade has caught fire. He's opening for country megastar Brant Lucas, and he's married to one of the hottest acts in the country. But he's hurting. Only a few weeks earlier, his best friend Dwayne was murdered on stage by a mass shooter at a country music festival. One night, with his trauma festering and Jim Beam flowing through his veins, always a great combination, Colton stands before a sold-out arena of country music fans and offers his unfiltered opinion on guns. It goes much as you'd expect. Immediately, his career and marriage implode. Left with few choices and fewer funds, he retreats to his rural Kentucky hometown to start fresh. He's resigned himself to has-beendom until a chance encounter at his town's new farm-to-table restaurant gives him a second shot at life. A job working in the kitchen with Luann, his first love, who's undergone a reinvention of her own. Told through perspectives alternating between his senior year of high school, his time coming up with Dwayne as hungry musicians in Nashville, and the present, Colton Gentry's Third Act is an unforgettable story of coming home, undoing past heartbreaks, and navigating grief, and a reminder that there are next acts in life, no matter how remote they may seem. The more I read this blurb, the more I want to read this. Like, this might be, by the time this posts, I may have already read this, and if so, I will consider doing a book review on it. Emily Henry calls this a story of love, healing, and second chances that's not to be missed. So, like, this may be the very next book I read. Okay, next month is one I had considered buying for Pride Month, but again, it was online. I don't remember why I didn't pick it up, but I saw it out in the wild, and I'm also considering reading this one this month. And that is Hell Followed With Us. This is a William G. Morris debut award finalist. It is a New York Times bestseller. It's written by Andrew Joseph White. I adore the cover on this, and it is a book about the apocalypse, which I love that theme. Prepare to die. His kingdom is near. 16-year-old trans boy Benji is on the run from the cult that raised him, the fundamentalist sect that unleashed Armageddon and decimated the world's population. Desperately, he searches for a place where the cult can't get their hands on him, or, more importantly, the deadly bioweapon they infected him with. When Benji is rescued by a ragtag group of teens from the local Atchison LGBTQ Plus Center, affectionately known as ALC. They offer him shelter as long as he can control the monster within and use his power to defend them. Their leader, Nick, is gorgeous, autistic, and a deadly shot. And Benji soon discovers that he has a hidden agenda and more than a few secrets of his own. There are angels in this somehow. From the author, I'm not going to read you the whole thing. Actually, I am. I'll take a few minutes to spend with you on this. This is a letter from the author. If you set a fire, you're going to inhale some smoke. I'm all for setting fires and burning whatever will catch flame, but I encourage you to be careful when you pour the kerosene. This book contains description of graphic violence, transphobia, domestic and religious abuse, self-injury, and attempted suicide. Hell Followed With Us is a book about survival. It is a book about queer kids at the end of the world trying to live long enough to grow up. It is a book about the terrible things that people do in the name of belief and privilege. So if any of the above topics will burn you, I respect your decision to step away. Actually, I admire you. I've never been so careful. But if you've stepped even closer, close enough that you can feel the heat on your cheeks, I wrote this book for a few reasons. Because I wanted more stories about boys like me. Because I was angry. Because I still am. But mainly, I wanted to show queer kids that they can walk through hell and come out alive. Maybe not in one piece, maybe forever changed, but alive and worthy of love all the same. That's what you'll find here. Terrible things, survival, love, and a future worth fighting for. Sharpen your teeth, take up your fire, and let's do this. I got some good books. I got some really good books, and now I will probably read this after Colton, because I think after the book that I'm reading right now, which is called Bad Girls, I will have finished it by the time this posts, but I think after that I'm going to need a palate cleanser and then dive into the fire with Hell Followed With Us. Anyway, I've got 3 more books to talk about. So, the next book is a book, not a new release. The final 2 books are new releases. This is a horror. I've read another of this author's books. That book was, I think, Whisper Down the Lane. And when I stumbled across this in that bookstore, I couldn't resist picking up a copy of What Kind of Mother by Clay McLeod Chapman. I love horror. I'm still, to this day, seeking something that will scare me as much as It by Stephen King scared me when I was 13. I've yet to find anything like that. Nothing really scares me anymore in the literary world. But in What Kind of Mother? After striking out on her own as a teen mom, Maddie Price is forced to return to her hometown of Brandywine, Virginia, with her 17-year-old daughter. With nothing to her name, she scrapes together a living as a palm reader at the local farmer's market. It's there that she connects with her old high school flame, Henry McCabe, now a reclusive local fisherman whose infant son, Skylar, went missing 5 years ago. Everyone in town is sure that Skylar is dead, but when Maddie reads Henry's palm, she's haunted by strange and disturbing visions that suggest otherwise. Sorry, I'm making a noise with the cover. Maddie, as she follows the thread of these visions, Maddie discovers a terrifying nightmare awaiting at the center of the labyrinth, and it's coming for everyone she holds dear. Combining supernatural... Oh, that's it. Sorry. Anywho, I do follow Clay on, I think, Twitter, and so looking forward to reading this. Okay. I've been waffling about this one for quite ever since I realized it was coming out, I've been on again, off again, on again, off again. I've read mixed reviews, but more recently I've read some really good reviews, and I think what pushed me over the edge was, A, I do love time travel fiction, and especially a time travel romance. And B, they had a little placard at the local bookstore that talked about why they recommended it. And I don't remember what they said, but it pushed me over the edge. And that book that I chose was The Ministry of Time by Kellyanne Bradley. And I probably will not read this month, but I will read this soon. Who knows? It's early beginning of the month. So, put this up where I can read it and pull out the old glasses. In the near future, a civil servant is offered the salary of her dreams to work on a top-secret project. A recently established government ministry is gathering expats from across history to establish whether time travel is feasible for the human body, but also for the fabric of space-time. She is tasked with working as a bridge, living with, assisting, and monitoring the expat known as 1847, or Commander Graham Gore. As far as history is concerned, Commander Gore died on Sir John Franklin's doomed 1845 expedition to the Arctic, so he's a little disoriented to be living with an unmarried woman who regularly shows her calves, surrounded by outlandish concepts such as washing machines, Spotify, and the collapse of the British Empire. But with an appetite for discovery, a 7-day cigarette habit, and the support of a charming and chaotic cast of fellow expats, he soon adjusts. I really want to know who the expats are. I hope they're people we know. Over the next year, what begins as an excruciatingly uncomfortable housemate dynamic evolves into something much deeper. By the time the true shape of the ministry's project comes to light, the bridge has fallen haphazardly, fervently in love, with consequences she never could have imagined. Forced to confront the choices that brought them together, the bridge must finally reckon. I gotta hurry because my battery's about to go. Reckon with her choices. Okay, last one. And my battery does not last long. That's I Hope This Finds You Well by Natalie Sue. The main character, Jolene, doesn't want to really get involved with her coworkers, and at the end of her emails she'll write little postscripts, but she colors the font white so no one can see her. Of course, she gets found out, and then she ends up having to take some retraining, and then somehow gets access to everyone else's emails. And I'm sorry, my battery is being a butthead, and I'm running out of juice. So, I hope this finds you well. Happy reading. If you've read any of these, I'd love to know what you think about them. Until next time, out.